Deponia Doomsday. This is the last of the Deponia series that was ever made. Well, at least at the time of this recording. I don't know if they're still planning to do the next entry, which is supposed to be more along the open world crafting type style. But, see, this was released in 2016. And it keeps some of the same things. It kept a lot of what was really good about the original games, except you don't have any, quote, memo to help you along the way if you need it. So that's a downside. But, the way it ended, it's kind of hard to do another game unless you do something to change the ending or work around it. Now, this game opens with Goal recapping the events of the trilogy to win, the whole story about how Rufus got involved and end up saving the people of Deponia and Elysium, sort of in an amazing effort, and then apparently falling to his death. However, we join what appears to be an unknown figure in the prologue, and they're being chased by these monsters. They're called Fulocks. Could be an obvious nod to the Morlocks of Time Machine. And when we finally get to, like, where the bomb was that would destroy Deponia and all that, we see that this figure is apparently Rufus. And then just as we, quote, push the button and destroys everything, we sort of jump back in time to Rufus before the events of the trilogy. And we join Rufus in another attempt to, escape Deponia and get to Elysium. And he's been wanting to take Tony with him. So apparently, at this point, they're still a couple. And we learn that during one of his attempts, apparently that caused a rift between him and Tony was he ruined her glasses. So, you're trying to prevent that from happening, but it all goes to heck because of a gentleman named Chronicle, who has a machine that can alter time, can, rewind time. Now, he's trying to prevent the breaking of the glasses, but when he does prevent the breaking of the glasses, he gets told that a pink elephant broke the glasses. So he's going to try and prevent the pink elephant from breaking the glasses. Not sure why they want to break the glasses and all that. And so we have a time loop beginning. And of course, once we get to that point, we start rewinding time like we get stuck in a time loop. I mean, eventually they get the time machine. They avoid breaking the glasses, and then of course the pink elephant breaks the glasses. He catches the pink, what he thinks is the pink elephant. No, it's Tony's mother. It really blows, ruins everything. And then we have an explosion at at Tony's father's fireworks place, which, ironically, Rufus is not the one who does it. Tony is, because she lit a damn cigarette in the place. Now, of course, during all this time, we also have a festival going on in Kuvok, which, of course, things go wrong. People want to kill Rufus, like usual, or you want to beat the crap out of him, like usual. The Chronicles vehicle sort of is broken down now. And now they come across a time machine. And they use it to escape, ending up going to the future, where Elysium is. They got to Elysium. Rufus is like, I got here. And it's literally falling apart. Chaos has happened. We don't know what caused the chaos. Well, we have an idea. The future goal, who remembers Rufus jumping to his demise, surprised to see him, sees the time machine, snatches it, disappears. After, some escapades that leads Rufus and McChronicle onto Elysium prior to the events of the game, the first three games. And now Rufus is changing things there. He wants to speak with the Council of the Council of Elders. And of course, he has to finagle some things to get the points, or somehow get the points to do it. Seems that he can't do it even with normal skills. I mean, if you do the games in that section as best as possible, you're not going to get 10,000 points, because just as you finish the fourth game, the race game, no matter what order you do them in, but once you finish the race game, the time loop restarts. And so now you're dealing with that. So you have to finagle away, do a little cheating, do everything you can to get the council together. This in turn leads to the creation of the Fulocks. And of course, making the the Elysium Central computer go a bit mad. It's a flower, just like Flowey in Undertale, so to speak. However, you and this loop's goal managed to escape from Elysium with McChronicle, sort of end up back on Deponia in like an amusement park area. And now you have to, of course, get McChronicle, and Rufus in his own dumb way, I got to get a picture of us together so we can convince them that we're. So he's not going to ask Gold to do this. No, he's going to set up a fake. And guess what? She does the same thing. We also have to rescue McChronicle. In a whole convoluted mess. Because we got to get down there before the timeline resets. Of course, on our path down, we end up at a college type thing, where McChronicle is a teacher. and his father is the dean. His father looks like a damn kid. I mean, McChronicle has the look of an older man. And it just goes crazy from there. Rufus now has to, quote, fill in as a, quote, teacher, with Goal sort of now, like, annoyed with him. Of course, this is also, during his shenanigans trying to teach these guys and figuring a way to, get out of the time loop and all that. We learn of interim time, which is a sub-dimension where time really doesn't pass as quickly. Or something like that. Well, lo and behold, we end up creating portals to interim time with a new thing so we can maybe get back, get past everything, stop the whole time cycle, or the time loop that we've gotten into. But as we find a way into interim time, it's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess, Mario. No, it's a mess. We get in there. Now, apparently, something in interim space, they are worried about fuel locks there. We also find future goals. See, when she joined us and then took the time machine, we had to. This leads us to this whole mess where we're going through Kuvok and all that, through the areas. So now we have future goal who has been living there and actually lived a bit of a life, not really overly productive life, but it was a nice life. Part of it was just waiting for Rufus to return. And so the interim time, now we're trying to straighten things out because we realize that if these characters don't advance, it mucks with time. I mean, one of the people in this Paradox City, as they call it, is McGonagall's grandfather, who looks like if McGonagall looks like he's in his 40s, and his father looks like he's in his teens to preteens. Well, his father looks. This McChronicle looks like he is maybe in his 20s. And we run into such interesting people up there that I can't even begin to fathom how they managed to survive all this. Or, I mean, you got one guy who has a time pod and being taunted by his older self. And you got all this wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff. And of course, you also get, proving that these characters. Rufus thinks he's fixing things and sometimes messes things up even more. I mean, we're running into characters before we run into them in Deponia, the trilogy there. And so, when Rufus finally gets to a working time machine and starts, restoring portals, because that's how they were getting stuff in Paradox City, they are crazy. They are trying to get this all working, and then boom, 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 we are back to normal. We have survived. Oh, crap, here come the fuel locks again. And they are much, much worse. I mean, they were trying to keep them. I mean, part of our way to, progress things there, I mean, to get out of this mess was for Gold to flash Rocco McChronicle when he was on guard duty. you know, Typical way. Well, lo and behold, we managed to somehow return back to Kuvok. And we find some things out. First, we prevent McChronicle from, totally crashing things up. But then we run across the pink elephant, which is actually two elephant looking aliens who are from Utopia. And they are here to prevent things from, somehow, because of Rufus's involvement or something, it causes them to the Elysiums to finally get to Utopia, but it makes a mess of things there. And so, they are trying to prevent that from happening. They want to restore time to the typical timeline. And then we find out that because of Goal stealing the time machine, and then the Utopians, stopping her, causing the device to crash, the time machine to crash and drop them all the way, which the crash ends up killing the future Goal and saving Rufus. This is what leads to Rufus coming about to destroy Deponia. And so, this is how things play out. Rufus, somehow, because of all the portal jumping and all that, we've caused chaos, we've saved things, we've destroyed things. But it's now up to Rufus, because he's been doing this time loop so many damn times, he's come to figure out what's going on. And he knows where they have to go and what needs to be done to totally break the loop. You see, when Future Goal stops Rufus from falling to his death, that's the start of it all. And so, one of the time loops of Rufus somehow has ended up on board the time machine at the exact moment when Goal tries to rescue Rufus. Or Future Goal attempts to rescue Rufus. And so, we literally have to go through a bit where Future Rufus, and Time Loop Rufus says, "You gotta let us go. It's the only way to save everything." And it's a gut punch. I mean, she's trying to save Rufus, not knowing that this is what's causing everything to go, apeshit crazy. And in the end, she does the right thing at Rufus's urging. And we end with Goal heading back to the settlement that they now are on Deponia. Having saved the Deponians, having saved the Elysiums, at everything. There are some games that do time. There are stories and games and books and movies that don't do time travel right. They work with other crazy theories and stuff that, just doesn't make sense when it comes to time, to the fourth dimension as we know it. And this game actually handles it very well. I mean, you run into a lot of characters that you ran into in the original trilogy. We find out how Lottie became the way they are because a pissed off Tony literally rips the beard off his face and emasculates him. We see how Goal got convinced Cletus to let her go on this, mission that he went on. We learn that Ulysses was the one, see more of how Ulysses was in charge. We have a lot of neat little throwbacks to the original trilogy that make some sense of things. And it's pretty damn good for that. In the end, it is a very decent game. It does basically hardly does anything, the way it's designed and with all the quote time loops and everything. We are able to get around the fact that Rufus caused all this mess, how this whole mess played out in the first place. And we could keep things going with the original timeline. And even if you were to quote fail, there is another way around it. They have even the utopians have it figured out. It still has some of those cute little guys. We see how the fortune teller becomes who he is. We see a whole lot of stuff that makes sense. And even in the timelines, that even in the games, it works around that. You Can you understand this game without playing the original trilogy? Maybe. It adds to the experience, to be honest. It's a good game. It does the whole time loop, time travel thing in a very nice way. Showing how events unfold, correct themselves, giving MacGuffin type things because of how these things are set to work. It's a pretty good game and a very nice fourth chapter in this franchise. And it really deals with Rufus. How did Rufus survive such a fall? It answers a question that immediately comes at you right at the beginning of the game. It's a good game. Definitely worth a play. And that's all I'm going to say about Deponia Doomsday. I hope you've enjoyed me talking about this game, and I invite you to play it yourself and experience it. And until next time, take care all, and have fun. Bye.